Hello, this is Parag Jose. Welcome to Tech Capsule. In today's capsule, we are going to check out the working of an SCR, that is the most common type of switch which is used. SCR stands for Silicon Controlled Rectifier, and it is also called as a thyristor. So that is what we are going to check out today. So let's get on. Silicon Controlled Rectifier is one of the most commonly used switch in various applications. So when you talk about power electronics, we know that these are very small power electronic devices or very small electronic devices which will be used for controlling bigger power system circuits. So that is the beauty of power electronics, where small circuits can control high voltage, high current systems. So silicon controlled rectifier is one such power electronic device which is used to, or element which is used to control a power system based device. For example, it is used in applications like rectifiers, where we convert AC to DC, or in inverters where we convert DC to AC. So in all these applications, we can see that the base unit or the switch used is a silicon controlled rectifier, that is for the low power application. But as the power application increases, as the capacity of voltage that comes across or the current increases, then we have to go for higher end switches like MOSFET as well as IGBT. But those topics we'll be discussing in further classes. Today we'll be constraining ourselves to silicon controlled rectifier. So a silicon controlled rectifier is actually an extension of a diode. So as we know, diode representation is something like this, where we have the anode at one end and the cathode at the other end. Now this is called as a uncontrolled switch. Why is it called as an uncontrolled switch? Because we can see that we have no option to control it. As we have discussed here, we can see that there are only two modes of operation which are possible in this, that is forward bias operation as well as reverse bias operation. In forward bias operation, what do? We'll be connecting a DC source or a source such that positive polarity, that is the positive polarity, is connected to the anode, and the negative terminal of the source is connected to the cathode. So here we have seen that this diode is basically a PN junction device. So since this is the arrangement that is going to happen, so we have P region to this side and N region to this side. That means we have the majority carriers as electrons in N region and majority carriers as holes in P region. So in this case, we can see that the negative terminal of the battery will be repelling the electrons in the N region, because like poles repel each other. So these electrons will be pushed across to the P region over the depletion layer, and therefore we have a current flow happening. So by convention, we will be following the current direction opposite to the flow of electrons. But here we can see that we don't have an option to control the current flow. We cannot control the flow of electrons. So that is one major disadvantage of a diode. We cannot control that. That is why it is called as an uncontrolled switch. So what is the solution to that? The solution to that is, let us add a door to the system. That is, we are going to, now it's like we have a door, but that door can be opened and the electrons can move in, but it will be a unidirectional flow, of course, as well as there is no one to control the door. There is no guard or security at the door. So now what we are going to do is, we are going to add a security or guard to the door so that he can monitor or he can regulate who comes inside the house. So here we can see we'll be just adding a terminal which is called as a gate. So this gate is the person or the terminal which is going to regulate the flow of current. We can control the current. Therefore, this diode now changes to a controlled switch, and that is called as your SCR or thyristor. Now, when we look at the construction of a thyristor, it is slightly different from what we have seen in the case of a diode. This is a 4 region device and has 3 junctions. So let us first draw that and then understand. Okay, so here we can see we have 3 junctions which is creating 4 layers. So this upper terminal will have the anode connected. So this is your anode. The lower terminal will have the cathode connected. So this is your cathode. And we'll have the gate coming somewhere here. So this will be the gate terminal. So we can see this regions are actually, this is a P region, we call it as P1. This is an N region, we call it as N1. This is a P region, we call it as P2. And this is an N region, we call it as N2. The junctions here, we can see there are 3 junctions which are available. So I'll be calling that or those junctions as J1, J2 and J3. So this is how a simple model of the SCR looks like. Now when we operate this, when we want to operate this, we of course have to connect the battery source. So when we talk about the battery source connection, we can connect the battery source in 2 manners. That is, we can have the positive polarity or positive terminal connected to the anode and negative terminal connected to the cathode. That is one mode. And the other mode that we can have is we can have the negative terminal connected to the anode and positive terminal connected to the cathode. So here, when we look at the modes of operation of an SCR, it has 3 modes of operation. The first mode of operation is called as the forward blocking mode, or we'll call it as FBM. The second mode is known as the forward conduction mode, and we call it as FCM. And the third mode is known as reverse blocking mode, or we can call it as RBM. So here you can see directly there is an comparison bit with diode, and in diode we have only 2 modes, that is forward blocking mode and reverse blocking mode. So now we have another mode coming in, which will be the forward biased conduction mode and reverse biased conduction mode. But in this case we'll have forward blocking mode, forward conduction mode and reverse blocking mode. Okay, so now when we talk about the first mode, let us try to analyze what that is. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I want the operation to be forward. So if we want the operation to be forward, what should happen? The positive of the battery source or whatever source is it that comes has to be connected to the anode, while the negative will be connected to the cathode. So that is what is called as forward mode. Whether it's blocking mode or conduction mode, that is forward mode. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to connect the anode. I'm going to connect it to the positive, and the cathode I'm going to connect it to the negative of the source. So this is my battery source. Okay, now when I do this, let us analyze what happens. When I do this, what would happen? See, in this case, in the case of a diode, we have P region, N region here, and when I'm connecting a source like this, what would happen? This has only one junction, maybe I'll call it as J0. Okay, so what would happen? When I connect it like this, we can see that J0 will become forward bias, because now this positive is repelling the holes here, this negative is repelling the electrons here. So this junction will be called as a forward bias junction. Same way, if we apply the same logic, we can see that junction J1 will be forward biased. Why? Because P1, this is P1 which is connected to the positive of the source. Okay. Naturally, the other part is N1, so it will be at a different polarity, and this has electrons there. So J1 is forward biased. Same way, if you look at J3, we can see that N2 is the region which is connected to the negative terminal of the battery. So this is negative terminal of the battery and it's connected to N2. So naturally what would happen? J3 will also be forward biased. But when we consider J2, we can see that N1 would be in contact with the positive and P2 will be indirectly contact with the negative. So that means this makes the junction J2 reverse biased. Okay, so we have J1 and J3 forward biased and J2 reverse biased. Okay, so now this is ideal. This is ideal. So what would happen? Now electrons, when I turn on the switch, what can happen? The electrons can move across from the N2 region. From the N2 region, it can move across J3, reach P2, but J2 is closed. J2 is reverse biased. That is because now J2 we have a security or we have a guard there, right? And that guard is the gate. Okay, so this gate is actually now controlling the opening of J2. So since now we have not connected anything to the gate, or we are not exciting the gate, or we have not told the guard to let the person enter, this is known as forward blocking mode. So here we have blocked the entry, that is called as forward blocking mode. Now if I want to start conduction, what will I do? Naturally, I will have to give some instruction to the security at the gate that let these people enter. Okay, let these people enter. So for that instruction, or for that we have to excite the gate. That is why we will be connecting a small gate source as well, such that the positive is connected to the gate and negative is connected to the cathode. So here we can see the negative of both the main source, this source, and the gate source are connected to the cathode. So they will be having the same potential, they will be connected to the same point. That is, the negative would be connected to the same point. Okay. Now here we have the gate connected, and then I have a variable source. So this will be a variable source which can be varied, that is the voltage can be varied, and by which what happens, the gate current Ig can be varied. Okay, so when I vary this, the gate current can increase and decrease. So based on that, what would happen? The junction J2 can be made forward biased. So this can be made into a forward bias based on the increase of the gate current. So once this junction J2 becomes forward bias, what would happen? These electrons can easily move over J2 and then come across and reach the positive polarity of the battery. So when the electrons flow in that direction, naturally the current flow will be the reverse. So now we can say that the switch is in its forward conduction mode. So without gate, when J2 is reverse biased, it was forward blocking mode. Now what did we do? We introduced a gate and we started controlling the gate opening. Then it moves from forward blocking mode to forward conduction mode. So those two modes will be in the forward direction. That is when positive is connected to anode and negative is connected to cathode. Now moving on to reverse blocking mode. So let us again draw the construction of an SCR. So here we have junction J1, junction J2, junction J3, and we have the anode. We have the anode here. We have the cathode here. So this is J1, J2, J3. Okay, again I'll have the gate terminal here. Okay. Now in reverse biased or in reverse blocking mode, naturally we'll have to reverse, right? Reverse the source. So we have negative here, positive here, negative here, positive here, negative here, positive here. So then positive, I'll be connecting it to the cathode, just the reverse of what we have done previously. And here we'll be connecting the anode. So here I have the anode and here I have the cathode. So in this case, what do you think? What would happen to the junctions J1, J2 and J3? So here again we have the same polarity P1, N1, P2, N2. Okay, so now it's like we have a diode here, right? P region, N region. Okay, and I have connected N to negative and N to positive and P to negative. So that makes junction J0 reverse biased. Okay, it will not allow current to flow through this because why? Because you have electrons. This is electrons which are the majority carriers in the N region, right? So now what would happen? This electrons will get attracted to the positive, that is unlike poles attract, right? So we don't have electrons trying to move across this junction. If the electrons tries to move across the junction, then only a current will flow, right? Here the electrons are attracted by the positive terminal, so naturally the current will not flow across. So that is why this is called as a reverse bias junction, or J0 will be reverse bias. So if we have the P region connected to negative terminal and N region connected to positive terminal, we have a reverse bias condition. So if we come to this picture, we can see that at junction J1 we have P1 connected to the negative terminal. So naturally J1 will be reverse biased. Same way, if we see J3, we can see that N2 is connected to the positive terminal. So naturally J3 will be reverse biased. But when we check J2 we can see N1 is indirectly connected to the negative terminal and P2 is indirectly connected to the positive terminal. So J2 will be forward biased. Okay, so in the previous case we had J1 forward biased, if you remember, J2 reverse biased and J3 forward biased. So now it just reversed. Okay, so now J1 is reverse biased, J2 is forward biased and J3 is reverse biased. Yeah, so now what would happen? Now as we have two closed doors, will the electrons be able to flow? Even if J2 is open, will the electrons be able to flow? No, because the electrons in the N2 region will be attracted by the positive polarity. So then it is not trying to move across this junction. Okay, same way the electron flow from here will be going to P1 and it is not trying to cross the junction. So naturally it will not be happening. Okay, so what is the option? The option is, if I want it to conduct, I'll go on increasing the voltage to a very high value such that this door opens. That is, assume I am standing at the door. Okay, I am trying to push open the door. It is not opening because it is reverse biased. So what do? I bring a huge log and start hitting at the door, or I get some people and start hitting at the door. So then I'll be pushing the door. As the force of my push increases, what would happen? The door will break. Same thing will happen here. If I go on increasing the voltage, then the junctions J3 and J1 will collapse, or it will break. Okay, and then conduction starts, but that will be a permanent damage. Then you cannot reverse it back. The J1 and J3 will be completely damaged, and therefore you will not be able to use the SCR further. So in reverse blocking mode, we cannot do much because this is the limit to which it is designed. So coming to the characteristics of SCR, we have to check out the VI characteristics. That is the characteristic between voltage and current. So here we have the voltage between anode and cathode. I'll call it as VAK. And this is the current which flows. I'll call it as anode current IA. So naturally the reverse will be, this can be taken as minus VAK because we have changed the polarity, right? This will be reverse bias condition. And this will be the other opposite current minus IA. Okay, so now here we can see, let us start with the modes. So as I told you, we have three modes. First is known as the forward blocking mode. Second one is called as the forward conduction mode. And third one is called as the reverse blocking mode. Okay, so now what happens is, in the forward blocking mode, I will be not applying the gate. Okay, so if you look at the current flow, you can see that there will be a small current which will be flowing like this, which is known as the leakage current. This leakage current is actually very insignificant or very less value, and then it reaches here. Okay, now what I did is, so I started applying gate. Okay, so when I started applying gate, what would happen? Suddenly the J2, our junction J2 will turn off, right? It will get forward bias, and then what would happen? The electrons can easily start flowing. Okay, so then you can see there will be a sudden drop in voltage. There will be a sudden drop in voltage, and the current suddenly increases. Okay, so this is what is called as the transition from the forward blocking mode to forward conduction mode. So until this point, this region that we have here is called as the forward blocking mode. Okay, then we reach a particular voltage which is called as the breakover voltage. So this is forward breakover voltage. Okay, so once it reaches the breakover voltage, then there is a shift in mode from forward blocking mode to forward conduction mode. So that is what is this. This is the forward conduction mode. Okay, so assume I have applied a gate current called as Ig1. Okay, so I have applied a gate current Ig1 here, which will give me this characteristic. Okay, now what I do is, I want to try another gate current. I slowly increase the gate current. Okay, so when I increase the gate current, we can see that the curve will be something like this. That is, my breakover voltage comes a bit more faster. Okay, so this will be FBO1. This will be my new breakover voltage, FBO2. Okay, so you can see the change or shift from the forward blocking mode to the forward conduction mode happens faster, just because what did I do? I increased the gate current greater than Ig1, or in the previous case, here it was Ig1. Now I increased the gate current to Ig2, which made the breakover faster. Okay, so naturally, if I want the breakover to be still more faster, what can I do? I will increase the gate current further. Okay, so now this will be my breakover voltage VBO3. Okay, so what did I do? I brought in a gate current Ig3, which is greater than Ig2. Okay, so this transition from the forward blocking mode to forward conduction mode can be made faster just by increasing the gate current. Okay, so this will be the conduction mode that we have. So this is how the forward blocking mode and forward conduction mode operates. Now in the reverse bias condition, where we have the negative polarity connected to the anode and positive polarity connected to the cathode, we can see that we will be operating in this quadrant. Okay, so this will be the third quadrant operation. Okay, but as I told you, in reverse bias condition, we have J1 and J3 reverse biased and J2 forward biased. So naturally there is more hindrance. Okay, so if we study the characteristic, we can see that there will be a small current which will be flowing, which is known as a leakage current, of course. Okay, and then what happens is, after one particular point, there will be a sudden increase in the current. That is an exponential growth in current. Okay, so this is the point where we have seen that since we have increased the voltage, we will have the breakdown of junction J1 and J3. So when J1 and J3 breakdown happens, that is the region where we have the operation shifting to conduction. Okay, so until this point it was blocking in the reverse direction, but then J1 and J3 breaks down and then the conduction starts. Okay, so this region is known as avalanche breakdown region. Okay, this type of breakdown is known as avalanche breakdown. Okay, and this will be the forward sorry, this will be the reverse breakdown voltage. So this is the reverse breakdown voltage. Reverse breakdown voltage. So beyond this, there is no repair to the switch. So this is how the reverse breakdown mode of operation happens. Now here we have to talk about two important terms. One is known as the latching current, and the other one is known as the holding current. So if you look at the characteristics, latching current will be a value which will be somewhere here. This will be a I latching current, and somewhere here we'll have the holding current. So what do you mean by latching current and holding current? Latching current basically means the current or the value onto which when the SCR reaches, the latching happens. Okay, latching in the sense, for example, see here what am I doing? I have this thyristor or this SCR. I am connecting anode, cathode and gate. Okay, so when if it is forward biased, I have connected it with the positive polarity, and this is forward biased. And when it is forward biased, what will happen? There will be a current flowing like this. We'll have a current flowing like this. Okay, but since it is supported by gate, the moment I release the gate, the current flow stops. Okay, assume I have a door which has a self-closing capability. Okay, now what did I do? Now I have opened it and the current starts to flow. Okay, but the moment I release the door, what will happen? The door will go and close. So that is the condition that is happening. Now there will be a point where beyond which if I hold the door will remain open. That is, I have opened the door and I have put a stay to the door. Okay, so once I put the stay to the door, what would happen? The door will not go back and close. So that point or that current is called as the latching current. So until that point, if I release the gate, what will happen? The gate will be released and the conduction will stop. But once I reach the latching point, what would happen? Even if I release the gate, the conduction will not stop. The conduction happens inside the switch. So that is known as latching point. Now if we talk about holding current, in the case of holding current, the reverse happens. That is, now I have released the gate. Okay, now the condition is I have started conduction, I have reached the latching current, current is flowing, I have it operational. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this voltage that I have here. I'm going to reduce it. Okay, so now assume this is at some 10 volt. Okay, so I'm slowly reducing it, I'm bringing it to say some 5 volt. Okay, still conduction is happening. I am reducing it to say 3 volt. Okay, now what happens is, assume still conduction is happening, but by the time it reaches 3 volt, you can see that there is a sudden fall in current. Okay, that is the current suddenly comes to 0 amps. Okay, so we can see that there is a particular current, maybe at 3 volt it has reached say 3.2 milliamps or something. Okay, so assume it has reached this current. Now once it reached this current, suddenly there will be a fall to 0 amps. Okay, so this is called as the holding current. So the point until which the conduction can be maintained inside the switch is called as the holding current. So that's it with the capsule today, guys. Hope you understood the operation and construction and characteristic of an SCR. So if you like the video, please subscribe and join me for more exciting videos. Thank you.